Hello, everybody. Anthony Crane with Pocket Coach. And today we are going to talk about the team name experiment. Okay. So here on the left, we have our experiment profile. The experiment name is team name. Experiment name is team name. Okay. So here's a funny thing. This exercise seems like, forgot to start my timer. Let me get that going so we can get done in 5 minutes. I don't think I'll need a second time box this time, but we'll see. The funny thing about the team name experiment is it's so very polarizing, and I never imagined it would be. So first, let's look at the problem statement. Agile is more about culture change than simply learning new techniques. We're here to change culture, not learn how to do a stand-up meeting. Some people seem to get it verbally, but don't seem to get it behaviorally. Hypothesis: picking a team name will accelerate forming a team culture and honestly a business agility culture. It will help with team branding and with organizational agility, or business agility if you prefer. Time frame, 20 minutes. Actually, some people get it done in less. It just depends on how big the team is, or if it's a team of teams, stuff like that. Pivot or persevere, if you're in on this one. It's just short enough experiment. Typical outcomes: you should see your culture change accelerated across your entire business agility organization, both on the team and everywhere, right? So finally, how do you get the skill growth on this one? What do you have to do? You have participated in a power of all voices technique. So everyone has to speak up. Funny story, a lot of teams can't get everybody together to do the experiment. That's an indicator that there's a bigger problem. If you can't even get together to do a 20-minute exercise to pick a team name, you have some serious participation problems in your team, right? So this exposes that. To pick a team name, and they have picked a fun name that does not match your product. So if you're the database team, your team name should not be the database team. It should also not be the data masters, because that's too close to your product. It should be something ridiculous like, the Smurfette lovers, okay? Because you guys are fans of Smurfette, there you go. That would be an appropriate Agile team name. So let's get into the experiment on the right side here. So just some things to sum it up. It might seem trivial, but it's not. It's a major step in company culture changing. Going Agile is about not a process, but changing your hearts and loving your work again. By the way, I've been in companies and I've been on a team where we were told what our name was, which is almost offensive to an Agilist. That reinforces command and control. You need to let teams pick their own names. If you have a scale team, or what SAFe calls an art, or a tribe, right? If you have a big team, you want them to pick a theme maybe for their whole tribe or their whole art. And then scientists, right? And then they could be Galileo, Copernicus, whatever, for each of the individual teams. And so they're all scientists, but we're on Copernicus. And so you have that. A lot of fun there. I had one team that said they were the data knots because they were, there was a database art though, and then each team, they picked a different kind of rocket ship to be. So the teams were named after rocket ships, and each of them considered themselves a data knot. I accepted that as pretty exciting. Okay, so here's the one asset I have in my kit besides the one you just saw, to actually run the team in experiment. So I actually show this during the 20-minute experiment. So up top, we talk about culture, and then we talk about some tips, right? Make sure if you don't have a team name, that can indicate low identity, low morale, no sense of team, etc. Teams that don't have a team, often you'll see these characteristics: low performing teams. Agile teams should be outlasting their projects and products. So their team name should be not tied. People are like, Anthony, if they're called, the Robotechs, how do I know that they're working on the UI? And I'm like, well, my name is Anthony. What am I to you? You're our Agile coach. I'm like, yeah. And yet I call myself Anthony, and somehow you managed to make the leap. I said, and by the way, what if you guys need tool help later on and you come up and I come back in? Now I'm not an Agile coach, I'm a toolsmith. So what I can do for you might change, but I'm always going to be Anthony. Same thing with these teams. We want long-lasting Agile teams. Your team name should be fun. And here's the part about the naming your tribe or your art. So Marvel, DC, precious gems, fantasy creatures, Greek gods, cities, Star Wars, right? That could be the name of your tribe or your art. And then here's the one about, rocket ships. They were, so data knots and then rocket ship names. We talked about that already. And ensure everyone has a voice. I like to use an Agile board where people put their ideas up and then they dot vote. If you don't know dot voting, we'll make a video for that. But they dot vote to figure out. You can also Google it to settle on a name. Why is this important? 4 major things here: identity, sense of team, sense of permanence beyond your project, sense of pride. Right now I'm on Team Galileo, and we love being Team Galileo. Culture change, right? Self-organization, being playful at work, having an agile mindset, branding. When someone says, oh, this came from Galileo, they now treat that with a level of quality because Galileo is all about agile quality. And outsider perception, it turns out that people are like, oh man, it seems like the teams that have those fun names, it seems like they're really committed and engaged. That's good, right? We're putting out a sense that we're really there. And then here's some fun real world examples: Scrummy Bears, Kanban Jovi, Game of Scrum, Velociraptors, Jedi Minds, Fantastic Five, Hot Dog, Cold Beer. These are all real client names. And so this is the slide I use. I encourage you guys to run the team name experiment. In the second 5 minutes, I will show you. Okay, so there's the alarm. That's the overview. If you want to stick around for the second time box, we are going to look at how to do dot voting with a free tool that you can use anytime you want to. So I'll start the timer. I doubt it'll take 5 minutes, but here it goes. Okay, so normally if we're going to do a team name, the place I like to go is called Idea Boards. Okay, ideaboards.com with a Z, Idea Boards with a Z. And the UI isn't so intuitive. Over here is the create. So we do a create, and then we say, what is our team name? Picking a team name for a description, team name. I can't say description and apparently not type description. I like to put 2 sections for this type of thing. The first one is name candidates and vote. And then for the second column, runoff. Often the top 1 or 2 or 3 names are so close, and a lot of other names were there that drew votes. So I take those top ones and then move them into, actually make a new ones because you can't remove the votes on this tool. Hey, free is free. And then I move them to the runoff section so we can have a final where everyone gets a voice in the real final name. Ensure that you're not a robot, and create. So here's what the idea boards look like. It's very simple. You hit the plus button and then you say, Barracudas. And then now, by the way, if you already have a tool that you use for dot voting, obviously you don't need to use this, but this is so fast. I can use it any client, anytime. Vampires, right? The demigods is a very pretentious team, etc. So you do that. Here's where you vote. And the one thing I want to point out is sometimes when you click this number will not go up. Like you click it and it still says 0 or whatever, 3, whatever it was at. And you think, oh, it's maybe just delayed and I don't want to click it again because I don't want to double vote. No, it ignores you. This tool frequently ignores you. So make sure when you click the button that you actually see that number change. And so there you have it. So so that's how we do it. For dot voting rules, if you don't already have them, we take 1/3 of the total tickets, but a minimum of 3. So if there's 3 tickets, we would still have 3 votes, which is weird because then you vote 1 on each one. Maybe you should do 2 at that point. Actually, with 3 votes, you probably should do 1. So maybe 1/3 does still work. So take 1/3 of your total stack. So if you have 9, if you have 10 tickets, it's 1/3 of 10 would be 3.3. And you always round up. So if there's 10 tickets, you would do 4 votes each. And the other rule that we have is only ever use half of those points in your vote. So if you have 4 total votes, you can't do more than 2 on a single ticket. That prevents one person from loading up their favorite name and overwhelming everyone else's voices. I've actually seen an executive come in and she put all 9 of her votes on the name that she had picked for the team already. And I'm like, that is so not okay. Like, you not only gave them a name, and now I'm trying to break that. You now came in and said, no, my name is that important that I'm putting 9 votes on it, right? And I had a one-on-one with her and explained how that is seen, right? So that was a fun conversation, but that's my job, right? Now, if there's a tie, then I wouldn't drag them over. You can, in fact, drag them over, but the problem is you can't reduce the votes once they've added in this particular tool. So I would just recreate them. Demigods and vampires ended up being the top 2. And so we'll do it one more runoff. And again, there'll be 1 vote this time. Everybody go, and whatever one has the most votes. And by the way, when the executive did the 9, of course, because of that, she became part of the runoff. And in the end, they did not pick her name. And I was so gratified. I can't remember what the name they picked was, but they ended up with a big beach theme, and they decorated their whole war room, because that's before COVID, with beach symbology and beach balls and sand. They had a little thing of sand that you could do with your little fork, to do Zen gardening kind of stuff. So they really totally got into it. I wish I remember the name, but anyway, there you have it. Yeah, this is the beginning of culture change. Here's a technique for doing it, and even a tool that's free. I really do encourage you guys to run the team name experiment. So hopefully you guys do that. My name is Anthony Crane with Pocket Coach.